second and third grade. Look who's here. All the Lammy Who's, especially Lamb Chop. That's me. Oh, Lamb Chop and all your little children. Look, we have Josephina and her Lammy Poo, and Sophia and her Lammy Poo, and Andrew and his Lammy Poo. Everybody has a puppet today. And so, we're starting out for Good Shepherd Sunday. That's what this Sunday is. That's what we call it. And so, we want to start out, boys and girls. Did you see where we are? We're in Constitution Park in the gazebo. Talk about really celebrating spring and our creation and our care of the earth. Oh, of course you're always center stage. You know how, Lamb Chop. Usually you're the one who always takes the back seat. Not today. Okay, no back seat for you today. Alrighty? I understand, because this is about lambs. Alright. Well, with our lambs, let's move into our heart space, and we're going to sit up straight, and we're going to sit still. We're sitting silently. And as we're breathing in, and in our mind's eye we see Jesus, and he has some lambs around him too. Oh yes, he does. And he's waving again, and he's calling our name, and he says our name, and he says, I love you, on our in-breath. And on our out-breath, we respond, I love you, Jesus. In-breath, he keeps waving, I love you, and we respond, I love you, Jesus. In-breath, we hear our name again from Jesus, I love you. And on our out-breath, I love you, Jesus. Jesus, we know that you are our good shepherd. You care for us. You think about us all the time. We need you. You need to protect us always. Help us to be truly followers of you, our good shepherd. We ask this as we ask all good things through Jesus, our brother and Savior. Amen. Now, boys and girls, if you would take your weekly that says April 25th on the front and just turn it on page 4. And while we're talking about, yes, we're going to talk about shepherds and sheep. That's right. Now, I don't know, does anybody have any sheep around their house? No. Any experience with shepherds or sheep except our puppets? But we might be able to imagine. And some of us might have dogs, cats, fish, gerbils, rabbits to take care of. Or plants, like me. I love flowers and plants. But we very often have somebody, or people are taking care of us. Or if you're a sibling, you end up taking care of your sisters and your brothers very often, even when you get as old as our teenagers are here. Because that's what I'm learning more and more. And so when we look at this picture, you can take your crayons, and as we're answering some of these questions, you could color the picture on page 4 with the shepherd and the sheep. Now, I was wondering, let's see if our teens could figure this out a little better. What would a shepherd do when the sheep run out of good grass to eat, do you think?
I think he would plant new seeds so that new grass could grow and water that every day.
Okay, because he knows that they need good grass. Alrighty. And you could keep coloring while you're listening to us, boys and girls. And when the sheep are thirsty, what would the shepherd do, Andrew?
The shepherd would provide water.
Exactly. And when a wolf comes near, Josephine.
The shepherd would protect them.
Right. And that's the problem. Very often, the shepherd has to really watch out for the wolves as they could come near. When somebody tries to steal a sheep, what would you do then if you're the good shepherd?
If I was a good shepherd, I think I would go to get the sheep back so that it wouldn't be without, like it can't leave its friends and family.
That's right. So you would protect every single man. And when a sheep gets caught in briars, Andrew,
What?
briars, you know, like thickets, like picky bushes.
Like they're. Oh, well then you would be the one to get them out.
Right, and that could be tricky
Yes.
because you could get hurt in the process because those thickets are, you know, a lot of them have thorns on them.
Don't want those.
No, and we don't want those for our lambs or our sheep either. Oh, and thank goodness that Andrew is here to save the picture.
Save them.
Yes, so we're just going to put our picture of Pope Francis over like this a little bit. And Andrew is going to keep good watch over it because it's a little windy out here today. And when a sheep gets too close to a cliff, Josephina,
The shepherd would push them out of the way to keep them back.
right, make sure that they don't go over the cliff, right? When a sheep gets lost, Andrew, what about then?
When she gets lost, you'd have to go and find it.
Exactly. And when anything else that you would want to tell us about being a good shepherd?
I think it would take a lot of care and patience and time to become a good shepherd because you have to learn all the different situations you could be put in. There are a lot of different difficult parts of being a shepherd that you're going to have to learn the ropes of.
Exactly. It's a big job. Anybody who has to take care of anyone knows that it's a job, whether it's your family, your parents taking care of you taking care of your brothers and sisters, and very often some of you volunteer, and there's two little girls here, and they're watching us. Hello there. Did you want to see our lammy poos? Do you want? You could come and see our lammy poo if you want. You could bring your sister. No, okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We like to invite people in this video if they're walking around Constitution Park. You never know what we're going to come up with, boys and girls, that's for sure. Well, you're saying to yourself, well, sister, let's get to what we're doing today. Yes, you probably have colored this picture over here, and it's the picture of the good, you guessed it, Jesus is our good shepherd. So we're going to turn over to page 1 now, and we're going to get ready for our Gospels for this Sunday. Jesus is our good shepherd. And there, we all have our own sheep. And so we're going to ask Josephina, could you be the narrator? And Sophia, Jesus 1, and Andrew, Jesus 2. All right, and so we're in John's Gospel, and we'll begin our Gospel story.
Jesus is our good shepherd. I am the good shepherd. A good shepherd will lay down his life for his sheep.
The hired shepherd runs away when wolf comes. He only wants to be paid.
A good shepherd stays with his sheep.
The good shepherd loves the sheep.
I know my sheep, and my sheep know me.
In the same way, my Father knows me, and I know my Father.
I will give up my life for my sheep.
Wow, Jesus has a lot to say, and here is my puzzle piece picture of Jesus the Good Shepherd. Once upon a time, one of my students put this puzzle together, and she shellacked it because she knew how much I love Jesus the Good Shepherd, and so she put it together and then framed it. And I love to bring it out so that you can enjoy it. And second and third grade, this is our special picture too, when we're going to be going to our first reconciliation. Some of you have, and some will be going in the fall. And so this is a wonderful picture to remember that Jesus cares for us, loves us, and goes after us all the time. And so we look at our questions. How do good shepherds care for their sheep? Well, our teenagers already have told us everything from page 4, all the things that they have to do. It's a full-time job. But how is Jesus like a good shepherd? We didn't talk about that. Sophia, how do you think why is he called the Good Shepherd?
I think he's called the Good Shepherd because he sacrificed everything for us and he gave up his life for us, just like a good shepherd would for his sheep.
Exactly. And how would you interpret Jesus as the Good Shepherd, Josephine?
I think Jesus shares a lot of qualities like a good shepherd does. Like Sophia says, he protects us and he has kindness and empathy for us.
Wonderful. Andrew, do you have something to add to this
I
answer?
think that both of their points are very accurate and true. And you definitely see some resemblance. Jesus was willing to give up his life for the greater good, I think, as it's referred to, and I think a shepherd is no different because his sheep are like his family.
That's right. And I love when it says, in the same way my Father knows me, and I know my Father. That's Jesus talking about knowing his Father and his Father knowing him. And you could probably say that about your parents. How well your parents know you and how well you know your parents. Okay? And so let's now turn to the back page again. And we're going to talk about, we have here a picture of Pope Francis. And he's the shepherd of the whole Catholic Church. And so he's really a pastor. So, Andrew, could you read what it says on the top of that?
Sure. Jesus calls himself the Good Shepherd because he cares for his followers like a shepherd cares for his sheep. Most parishes have a pastor. The pastor is a priest who leads and cares for the people in his parish, much like a shepherd cares for his sheep.
Okay, and Sophia, could you give us the definition of a parish?
A parish is a local church community of people who share beliefs, celebrate the sacraments, and put their faith into action.
And what parish do you belong to, Sophia?
St. Augustine.
Okay, which is right over across the street from us. And now, Josephine, can you read what the definition of a pastor is?
The word pastor means shepherd. A pastor leads and cares for the people of his parish.
All right, so who is the pastor of our parish, Josephina?
Father Kelly.
Right, Father Kelly.
Kelly.
Okay, Father Kelly. Okay, Monsignor Kelly, he likes to be called Father Kelly as well. And he's been the pastor here now for the last 14 years. And so he is the shepherd of St. Augustine. But we also want to look at Pope Francis as the shepherd of the whole Catholic Church throughout the entire world. And you've seen many pictures, 2nd and 3rd grade, of Pope Francis. Pope Francis wrote a big letter about the environment, Laudato Si, and I bet you heard those two words as well. And so Pope Francis wants us to really care for God's creation. He wants us to be shepherds. But sometimes we call ourselves stewards. When you take care of something like creation, like the environment, you're a steward. You're one who cares for that which is ours, but also everyone else's. Okay? And so if we open up to the middle, Pope Francis would love to play this game, Pope Francis, because inside on page 2 and 3, we have a game that you might want to play 2nd and 3rd on your own. The way we're going to do it with our teens today is we have pictures of different scenarios of how to care for our creation, our planet. And so we're going to take turns, and you, I'm sure, are going to have a lot of answers for this and can play by cutting out the smiley faces, putting your name on them, and having a dice, and you can read how you play this game. But since it's a little windy here today, and so what we're going to do is start by looking at the first picture above start and say, what do we do with the situation on that first picture above start? Andrew?
Sure, in the first picture above start,
Right over here.
this photo,
Yes.
so we see some boxes left outside of a dumpster.
Uh-huh.
Are we looking at like what we should do?
Right.
I think we should not. We should put the boxes in the dumpster and not leave them out on the street.
Right, and we might want to collapse them, right?
Yes,
So
because
that-
they would fit easier.
Exactly, and we want to make sure we put them in the right container for recycling. You know, because sometimes people put everything in the trash when certain things need to be in the recycle bin. All right, and maybe it looks like there's a compilation of bottles and tires, and we would have to separate those accordingly. Okay, now the next one, Sophia, we have the polar bear there.
Yeah. So we see the polar bear on a little iceberg because it's probably his habitat has melted, his big iceberg has melted. And I think a big thing that we can do is go on walks instead of driving and turn off our lights a lot more to save energy so that the polar bear's habitat won't warm up and he can keep his ice.
Exactly. All thinking of climate change, which affects every one of us and especially the animal population. All right, and Josephina, what do you say about all those trees cut down?
Well, they've all been clear cut, which is when all of the trees are cut down in one area. And I think one thing that we can do to stop that is plant new trees and also stop the cuts.
Exactly, because if something is cut down, there should be, a planting of a new tree. All right, and that needs some work on that one. Now, Andrew, you have a tough one here. What about the animals in the cages?
So, we have 7 animals in cages. Seems tricky.
Well, I'm not sure exactly what they had in mind.
Maybe it's trying to prevent animals from staying in cages and locked away. Maybe they can find a home with families who would be more than happy to have them.
Could be a rescue dog.
Yes.
Yes. That's a possibility. Anybody else?
I was thinking something very similar, like adopt a dog and give your home and care for that animal instead of leaving them all alone.
That's good. Okay, and what about at the bottom, Josephina?
Well, we can see that the people in this photo are using a lot of electricity, and the thing we can do is turn off the lights in a room when we're not in that room and stop our use of too much electricity.
Exactly. It's very important that if you're not in that room to turn off the light every single time you leave that room. Okay, and Andrew, we're going up to the top. Oh, no, we're not. Okay, we're going over here to the pesticides.
Okay, so a pesticide is being sprayed onto the flower, which is being harmful.
Exactly.
We should reduce this because we obviously want our plants to grow and to blossom.
Right. And we don't want to invade the environment with
Not at all toxic
chemicals. Exactly. Right? And so, Sophia, what about the picture above that?
The picture above that is a bunch of trash and bottles and other garbage on the ground, and I think we need to pick up our garbage and put it in the correct bins, like recycle those that are paper and can be recycled, and put the other things in trash bins to keep our community clean.
Right. And as we head this week to Earth Day, we become aware of it, but we need to have Earth Day every day.
Yes.
Okay? And Josephina,
We see a bunch of cars with a lot of exhaust or fuel emissions, and one thing that we can do is, like Sophia said before, take more walks, stop driving as much.
and probably in your lifetime you're going to have a new kind of car, okay? Which is already on the market, but there will be so many more electric cars and so forth, that will prevent all those gas emissions. Okay, and how about the water, Andrew?
So I think what happened here is there was an excess of water where maybe either the sink wasn't turned off, or maybe even a water fountain.
Right?
I
And
think
how about the drips?
that's just excess. I mean, that's just unnecessary. You gotta be responsible and finish what you started. Turn off the water when
Yes.
you leave the bath, when you're done with the sink.
Exactly. And When it comes to water, what about brushing your teeth? Do you leave the water running?
No.
No.
So it uses low water as possible.
Okay. And even when it comes to, a shower that could be quicker than longer, that's saving more water too. Okay. And Sophia?
So the next one, we see a bunch of bottles in the ocean, and I think water pollution is a big issue in our world, and we really need to remember that our oceans are important and the animals in it are important, and we need to clean up our oceans and take those bottles out.
Exactly. And use as few plastic bottles as possible, but if we do, to make sure that they're recycled in the recycling. Okay, and Josephina?
In this photo, I think that it's due to, the plants are dying, and I think that's maybe due to some chemicals
Could be.
in the environment or in the soil or being sprayed on them. And I think one thing that we can do is reduce our use of toxic chemicals.
Right. And hopefully these flowers are being taken care of and watered and so forth. All right. And Andrew, we move over into
Yes, we see
uh-oh.
dirty
Yes.
invading our the animals in the ocean, and it's just a negative. It's a lose-lose situation all around. The fish are dying, and it's going to create pollution. So we need to take action and not let this continue to become a trend.
Exactly. And the last one, Sophia?
The last one, we see a lot of smoke entering the sky and smog, which I think we all see when we go on drive sometimes. And to prevent this, we need to switch our energy source and use things like solar power and more useful energy sources, like the wind turbine things.
Exactly. And so, boys and girls, I welcome you into playing the game on your own and giving your own answers. And so, for Good Shepherd Sunday, and thinking about Jesus as our Good Shepherd, now Pope Francis as the shepherd of the whole Catholic Church, of Monsignor Kelly, who is our pastor and shepherd of St. Augustine's, and ourselves as shepherds. Yeah, I know I want to make sure everybody knows that we're all shepherds too, and all taking care of each other and our world. And that's what we're all about. And so, boys and girls, we're happy that we were out here under our gazebo at Constitution Park. You never know where we're going to appear next. Keep watching because it's always exciting. So thank you, Josephina, Sophia, Andrew, and all our Lammy Poos. And of course, we want to make sure that you draw us. Maybe you want to draw us and you want to draw Jesus, our Good Shepherd. So 2nd and 3rd grade, I want to look at the pictures that you have for us. And I want to thank, let's see, this one was from Eliza. She gave me an Easter card over here too, and I kept it in my book. And I want to thank her. Did I? And her sister Anna had it in the Promise one too. And so, boys and girls, stay tuned for Douglas. I'm sure he's going to have something to say about our hero creation. That's for sure. And so, stay tuned. And now say so long.
Hey guys, look at this flower that I made. Today we're going to be talking about taking care of the world God gave us. Hey guys, it's me again, Douglas. And yeah, so I made this flower. Well, I didn't really make it, but I helped it grow, and lots of other flowers too, because my mom gave me this patch in the garden, this area in the garden that I got to call my own, and I decided to grow some flowers in it. And it was really hard work to grow flowers. I didn't realize how much work went into it, but you gotta water them if it's not raining, and you've gotta take care of the weeds. You gotta pull up the weeds so they don't choke up your little flowers. And you also gotta look out for bugs too. Like if there's any bugs there, you gotta spray for the bugs so they don't eat your flowers. And then also sometimes if it gets too cold, you got to go out at night and cover them up with a blanket or something so they don't freeze. And so it takes a long time to grow flowers too, a long time. Like it takes about a month. But after they're all grown, then you've got these nice little flowers. And so I got these flowers, and I went and I gave them to a whole bunch of people. I gave one to my mom, and I gave one to my dad, and I gave one to the neighbor lady, and I gave one to my Sunday school teacher. And I even gave one to my dog Roscoe, which it turns out was kind of a mistake. Because you see, everybody, when I gave them a flower, what they did was they were like, "Oh, Douglas, thank you for the flower. That's so nice." So, they'd say something like that. And especially my mom, she took the flower and she put it in a vase, and she put it up on the kitchen table, and she gave it some plant food and some water, and she put it in a nice spot. And that made me really happy when they took this thing that I made for them, because it took me a long time, and everybody was really glad to have it. But when I gave it to my dog Roscoe, I called him in. I said, "Hey, Roscoe, boy, I got something for you." And he comes in, he's like, and he walks up to me, and I say, "Here you go, Roscoe. I made you this flower." And he bites it in his mouth, which that's okay, because, he doesn't have thumbs, so he's got to pick things up with his mouth. So I didn't mind that he picked it up with his mouth. But he took it in his mouth, and then he went, and petals were flying everywhere. There was flower stuff all over the place. And then he's just had the green part, and even that, he put it on the ground, and he stepped on it with one foot, and he pulled on it with the other foot, and he ripped it in half, and then he ate half of it, and he didn't even like it, so he threw it up on the floor, and then he just walked away. And I'm standing there, and I'm just like, why would you do that? Oh, I was so mad at Roscoe. I was so sad. I wasn't just mad. I was sad because I made this nice thing for him. I made this nice flower. But, well, okay, so it wasn't this flower, because this flower still looks good, but it was a different flower. And I felt so bad that he took this thing I made for him, and he just destroyed it. And that made me not feel very happy about this nice thing I'd given him. God made a gift for us. Just kind of like I made this flower for my friends and my family. God made a gift for us, and that is the earth. The whole planet Earth, the whole world God made for us. Yeah, he made it just for people. He made it just for us. He gave us air to breathe and water to drink and plants and animals and all kinds of awesome things to look at, like mountains and forests and oceans and all kinds of cool stuff. He gave us this awesome world to live in and to take care of, but sometimes we don't do a very good job. Sometimes we waste what he gave us. Sometimes we make it all nasty. And sometimes we just act like we don't even care about what he gave us. We just stay inside all day and we never go outside and we don't see the cool stuff God made us. And when we do all that stuff, it's like we're Roscoe. And God is like, "Here you go, everyone. I made you this beautiful world." And we take it and we say, "Oh, thank you, God." And we take the world in our mouth and we go, and then we throw it up on the ground. But that's not what we should be like. We should not be like Roscoe. We should be like my mom and take very good care of the thing that God made us. And so how can we take care of the world that God gave us? Well, one of the ways that we can take care of the world is by recycling. Sometimes some of the stuff that we throw away, it doesn't have to go in the garbage. It doesn't have to go stay in the dump, because there's some stuff like plastics and paper and things where they can take it to a place and they can melt it down or chop it down and make it into something new. And that way it doesn't just go sit at a dump. Another thing that you can do is just not waste stuff. God gave us this earth. He gave us all these things, all these resources that we can use, but there's only so much of it. So like when we turn on the lights, that's using up resources that God gave us. So one of the things you can do is not waste electricity, and don't waste water, because it takes energy to make the water clean to drink and clean to, take a bath in and wash the dishes and things like that and brush your teeth. So when you are using water, don't waste it. And when you're using light, don't waste it. Well, any kind of electricity, don't just leave things on and running. Another thing that you can do is don't litter. Litter is when you take some garbage that you've got, and instead of throwing it in the trash can like you're supposed to, you just throw it on the ground because you don't want to deal with it. You don't want to go find a trash can. It might not seem like a big deal, just throw one bubblegum wrapper on the ground, but if enough people do that, then we're swimming in bubblegum wrappers, and that's no good. And you can do your part to make things better by not littering. So if you're done with your candy wrapper, don't just throw it out the window, but throw it in the garbage so that it'll go where it needs to go. Another thing you can do is, anything else. Anything you can think of to help make the world a more beautiful place. You could plant a garden, or you could pick up trash, even if it's not your trash. You can go, ask a park ranger if there's something you can do at your local park. There's all kinds of things that you can do to help make the world a better place and show God that we are grateful and thankful for the awesome things that God gave us. You might not be able to totally change the world, but you can take care of the little bit of the world that God gave you. So that's my challenge, is that we'd be grateful to God, and we'd show him that we're thankful for what he gave us and take care of the awesome world he made just for us. Well, I'm going to go put this flower in a vase, but I hope that you will remember that God loves you so much that he gave you the whole earth and we should take care of it. Bye, guys. Well, hey, thanks for watching this video. I hope you liked it a lot. I make a new video every Monday where I share how I'm learning about God's plan for me and also for you. And also, if you really like these videos and you believe in what I'm doing and you want to help me make more videos, there's this website called patreon.com. And if you go to patreon.com/Douglas Talks, it'll take you to my Patreon page and it'll show you how you can help support this ministry and how you can help me make even more videos. And you know, it's only through God's grace and the generosity of some awesome people like you that I can make these videos. So thank you so much for watching and being such a cool and supportive group of people. God bless you guys.